Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at Friday here, 8 games to choose from to end this work week with you guys. We are going to be taking a look at the Spurs playing host to the 76ers, who we think are about to go bananas as James Harden and Joel Embiid have been chirping all over social media. We also got another game video up for you and our player props, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page and follow along with us all season long. Also want you to head to thelines.com. You can check out all of our great written content up there and more, and use that odds finder tool we have on there. Make sure you're getting the best juice back on all those bets you're trying to make this NBA season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into this slate tonight and then talk 76ers and Spurs.
Yeah, and we were going to look at this Kings-Pacers game, but turns out De'Aaron Fox is sitting out for personal reasons instead of getting that revenge narrative, that all-star snub narrative. So that total's dropped from 242 to 235. You got to like the under a little more without Fox, but hard to take the Kings on the spread without their engine. Their offense has really kind of hit the tank without him, with Davion Mitchell replacing him. Then we got Hornets in a pick 'em at the Pistons. Blazers +4 at Wizards. No Nurkic, maybe no Jeremy Grant for Portland. The other game we break down, Suns are +9 at Boston. Total is 221. Orlando is +5 at Minnesota. Toronto -8 at Houston. Hawks in a pick 'em at Utah with a 242 total. And then the Sixers are -9 at the Spurs. And the total's actually been bet down from 237 to 233.5. And yeah, I mean, over was the take here first and foremost. It was the Sixers to come out and drop at least 127, which is what the Spurs have been giving up in their last 10, really in their last 15 games. In their last 10, they're dead last in defensive rating, and they're second dead last, second in paint points allowed, only Detroit allowing more. And we saw what Philly did in back-to-back games against Detroit, just utterly eviscerating that team with like 147 in one of those games. James Harden had a triple-double in that game. He will be in our player props for sure, because as Josh alluded to, he was snubbed from the All-Star team and Embiid snubbed from starting. So both those guys should have plenty of an agenda here to go out and just dominate a really poor defensive team, maybe the worst in the league, and certainly according to points per game, etc. Spurs defense is slightly better at home, still really bad, but their offense is also slightly better at home, where they score 3 more points per game. They're scoring 117 at home. The pace is pretty good. I mean, they're 11th in pace the last 10. I don't know if without Trey Jones, their offense might sputter a little bit more. Sohan, Devin Vassell also out. I mean, the reason not to hammer this over is your concern that the Spurs are only scoring like 109, 112 in their last 10 or so. They've still gone over in 9 of their last 13, though, because, again, they're giving up 127 in that span. So if you just want to take a Sixers team total, that's at like 120 right now. And they've been slightly below that on the road as well, but I just think there's so much incentive for them to light this team up. I'm really actually more interested in just those individual performances, though. When we talk about Harden props, we talk about Embiid. I mean, his prop is 33.5 points, which is ridiculous, but Embiid getting that first bucket and then the Sixers winning, we almost never talk about first bucket props here, but that's +300. I mean, he's a good bet for that. Embiid, and the Sixers to just lead wire to wire, to just come out and just put the smackdown on the Spurs, which is what Josh certainly expects to happen here, is close to even money versus a 10-point spread that you're messing with. I mean, they're totally capable of covering that. The Spurs have only covered twice in their last 10 games, and they've lost 9 games in that span. So, I mean, it's definitely possible that they cover 10 here. But I think, yeah, we're looking for some points here. And if this total is going to be down at 233, I lean over for sure.
Yeah, for me, it's a moment in time to go ahead and take that 76ers team over. We talk about, I'm interested in some wacky stuff with you, like the wire to wire stuff. go crazy on Embiid and go crazy on Harden, that kind of stuff. I'm here for all of it right now. You're talking a little bit about what the 76ers are like on offense as of late, and really on the road, especially, right? Like with the way that they're scoring points, 117 or so a game, playing with that fifth best rating in the league. That's like 120 rating. Still go slow, but like with that level of efficiency, right? I think we still feel confident about them scoring at that level. I like the way that the three has been dropping for them as well, and when they need it. James Harden has been super efficient from there, even though he's only making about 2.5 a game over the course of their last like 5 on the road, which is kind of what I'm looking at a bit as of late, is what they're doing on the road, because of the fact that they've been scoring so many points. There have been a few unders at home, but pretty much everything, like you said, over on the road, shooting that in 39% from deep, which is definitely what you want from them, and looking a little bit more like the team that got to the free throw line last year, but still only about 24.5 a game. That's also because Embiid is just shooting a preposterous like 57% from the field during that time frame, and a lot of those aren't even in the paint, which is pretty impressive. So that's a part of why I think they're getting a few less free throws, to that degree. And also, obviously, it's still a little bit of an anomaly that their rebounding isn't a bit better than it has been, especially when Embiid is playing that many minutes, but still all the way down to like 20, like in terms of offensive rebounds, all the way down to like 25th, and in terms of defensive rebounding, all the way down to about 22nd. So it's not like they're dominating around there. They're pretty much just making shots right now, man. Their true shooting percentage gone up, effective field goal percentage has gone up. And the guys that are getting minutes for them are, a few more shooters. They definitely have inserted George Niang in there a bunch more, which I really like, so that they have that extra shooter, a guy who's been completely underrated this year and has gotten roughly 7 more minutes a game in their last 5 than he was in the previous games, really with no injury in there too. So just the extra shooting, the extra scoring for them. I am scared of the Spurs coming along for the ride. That's why I'm just like, I'm fine with double digits in this one for the Spurs. I think it's a complete beatdown. I think they're completely pissed. Joel Embiid was tweeting, y'all got some explaining to do, NBA. And then this morning we got hit with the James Harden social media, the disrespect that he's feeling. So I think both of those guys, maybe like you said for Harden, love throwing some assists in there. I think he loves, throwing out a ton of dimes in those situations where he's like, I can control this game however I want to. I used to be, one of the best scorers in the league and in the history of the game. I'm now one of the best assist guys in the history of the game, at least in the last couple of seasons. And I think that's what you can expect from them as well. So their team total, what's that at? Like pretty much a preposterous, like 122.5. Fine. Yeah, great. Like I think they're going to score 135 points tonight, which is also why I'm not really scared of the over, because I think they do score. They pretty much get to that total themselves. If the Spurs can score 108, I think we go over in this game.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if they go over 130, you're good. It is interesting. The last 2 overs, when these teams have met, in San Antonio, they've gone over. In Philly, they've gone under. It's kind of a reverse trend this year for the Sixers in terms of their scoring even more at home. But on the road, they're 10-3 to the over as road favorites. And they had really been just over machines before those back-to-backs against Orlando. But that's just like such a different matchup, right? I mean, They're just like the big lineups down there, pretty good in the paint. Spurs, again, they're dead last in paint points on the season and giving up 58.5 in this recent span. Also 29th in assists per game, why we like Harden so much. The one thing they do is limit free throws, but Philly's won 7 straight road games, and they've gotten a much more balanced scoring, like you're talking about, with that effective field goal percentage, much lower percentage of points off free throws, not depending on that as much. So I don't worry about that too much. And then both these teams have good bench units now with Maxey, with Niang off the bench. Philly is 11th in bench points in the last 10, and the Spurs are actually second. Just balanced, not a high depth of talent, but enough balance for them to keep scoring. Keep this system, the wheels turning in the system, and that's why they continue to go over at a pretty consistent clip, even though they've struggled lately in the first 3 of this homestand. So I don't know how you read into too that the Sixers. This is like a fun one for them. And then I think they have 4 straight against Knicks, Nets, Celtics. And it's just going to be like total Eastern Conference slugfests after this. So I do think, they'll be freewheeling and loading up those stat lines.
Well, I mean, at least those guys don't have to worry about, they can take a little bit of rest before they get to at least James Harden doesn't have to worry about playing in the All-Star game. He'll probably be in the Bahamas. So I think they can go all out in this road trip that they have here.
Houston strip clubs.
Or Houston strip clubs. There are none in Salt Lake City, unfortunately. So yeah, he'll have to go back to Houston. But it's funny because the Magic seem to be the best team in the league when they're playing the best teams in the East at this point in time. And I like you said, I think that's a bit of an anomaly for the way that they held the Sixers to 109 and then 105 back to back like that with the way that they play. But I don't think that there's any fear of that in this one. We talk about the Spurs playing fast. We talk about them playing horribly. We know that they're going to try to implement, be emblematic of that Greg Popovich style of play. But this isn't the matchup. I don't really care much about the numbers. I just care about Joel Embiid just deciding that he's going to probably dunk Jakob Poeltl into the basket tonight. And you can feel good about both he and James Harden props, like you said, plus their team total. Love all three of those bets the most in this one. And that's all the time we have for you guys. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Got another couple videos up for you today, including those player props. So until we see you next, happy betting.